take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking on Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
Man, I am good tonight, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I don't need to eat for a week or so,
Man,
but
a lot of good stuff.
all the good stuff, man. Ooh, so much good stuff. Uh, when you're running around do two different families and stuff, man,
Oh man, all
you
time,
just get
even
you
better.
just, right. You just get stuffed, man.
Yeah,
But it also a good weekend to be a Bama fan, as Keith Jackson once said. It's a high time in the old town tonight if you're wearing crimson. And it
that
was
is
last year for the fifth year in a row. Our Tide wins the Iron Bowl.
man.
Uh,
Fear the thumb.
there you go. Take that, Tommy. Uh, and of course, now we must mention that the guy that Auburn hired specifically because he beat Alabama is now 0-2 versus
I want
Alabama
to.
as Auburn coach.
That is.
We, uh,
So that's good stuff. I mean,
yeah, it was a uneven effort. A little sloppy at times. Offense had 4 turnovers. Definitely some drops.
yeah, a lot of drops. I was kind of
Mm,
shocked. That,
yeah, a couple don't. Yeah, dropped 2 touchdowns. Ryan Williams just had one right in his breadbasket, and
yeah,
I mean, an
beautiful throw.
absolute. Oh, yeah, maybe the most beautiful throw Jalen's made in his career. I mean, we've seen a
Uh,
lot of pretty deep balls, but that one was
I was
like 50, 60
sur-
yards on the
it was
dime.
surgical with it. Yeah, yeah,
And just Ryan couldn't. At first, I thought maybe the guy made a good play and knocked it away, or maybe
yeah,
he hit his foot as he was catching. No, he just dropped it.
yeah. He just flat out
Um,
dropped it. That's crazy.
and it's they showed his stats. Ryan Williams, that is his
Yeah,
stats the last 4 games, and it does appear he's maybe hit a little freshman wall there. Maybe some defenses have
figure some
uh,
stuff.
figured things out, but still no reason to panic. It's an immensely talented kid, and he's only going to get better.
Oh, better. Yeah.
CJ, I think it was a Dippy dropped one later in the game too, but that would have
Oh,
been a much tougher
yeah.
catch. But
He
still,
almost
got to
got
catch
the
those.
one. He had to try to get it with the one hand after. I was like, oh,
He did, yeah, and I think the defender ended up tipping, like hitting the nose of the ball and knocked it out of his hand. But I don't think the defender even knew anything about it. I think he just
yeah,
happened to hit it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like we said, 4 turnovers, sloppy at times, but the ground game was really strong.
yeah.
Both Jalen Milrow with 3 more rushing touchdowns his career total. And the running backs, they got a lot of carries and they look good.
Did
Um,
and
and the Go ahead.
you know, again, the only thing I will say, it's the only thing that frustrated me is just like the effort and the passion that was there, even with the mistakes. You couldn't knock the effort and the one, yesterday. If man, you just wondered like, what was that in Norman?
Exactly. Yeah. And we understand it's a rivalry game, but you got to,
Yeah.
again, knowing that you need it. If you win, if they'd come out with that kind of passion
Oh
and
man,
effort and
we blow
coaching
the door.
last week,
We
yeah,
blow the
we're
doors off.
talking about Alabama going to the SEC title game next weekend,
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so it's
We're talking
frustrating, in an up and down season.
that it was. But
But
hey, what can you do except enjoy what we have, and that is a fifth straight Iron Bowl.
mhm.
Despite Auburn coming in with a lot of confidence after
Ooh, them
knocking off A&M, and
them
the
boys
guy
was
talked a lot of
talking this week.
talking a lot of trash, and Jalen
Hmm.
wasn't anything, and Ryan's not anything, and he'll never lose to Auburn. He'll never lose to us ever in his time. Well,
Eh.
well,
Turns out that now makes for a class of Alabama seniors that never lost to Auburn in their time.
that's just
And
amazing. I mean, you
just,
gotta think. I appreciate any time we win that Iron Bowl, just because we never got to see it in
mm,
person like that
mm-mm.
when we were in
We went
school.
0-6 in our time, 0-5, whatever. I know us personally went to 2. We went to,
Even,
I guess, 4 together or 5.
yeah,
Yeah, we went, to in Auburn twice.
Yeah, in Tuscaloosa, I played 3 times.
Yeah, it
Um,
was yeah rough. Ugh. No, I'm thinking we saw four together,
yeah,
two
we
in
did see.
Auburn.
Yeah.
I saw another one. I came back for the '07 Iron Bowl. I went down there
Okay.
with our buddy Brett Pate.
Okay. Good.
That was a
Yeah. But
fun night.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I still appreciate just because I mean,
Oh,
and
for sure. Yeah.
and then 5 in a row like that. You can't knock that. I mean, just because it's overall very rare in this series. You know, we saw Auburn win six. We had five win in the late '70s or '80s, somewhere in there with 5 or 6 in a row. But it's just to be able to win five like that, and hopefully some more. I mean, no matter our issues coming into the game and possibly not making the playoff. I mean, you still gotta love what we did yesterday, and the effort was definitely there. You hate to see the mistakes, but it was they were able to overcome them. Everybody played with a lot of passion, and I was impressed with the defense. They kept Peyton Thorne
Hmm.
guessing all day. He didn't know what was coming or going for most
No,
of the.
I was gonna say that we kind of talked about last week how uh, the big worry in this game was that Hugh Freeze was gonna just look at that Oklahoma and Vandy blueprint and just go, all right, we can do that, no problem. And our defense needed to step up, and they did.
They had a
Created two turnovers themselves, including the big one in the fourth quarter when it looked like Auburn could have made it a game. Then they got another Jalen Milroe fumble, set them
Yes,
up in Alabama territory, and they tried a little trick pass, and
I got
I
picked.
mean, you can say it was a bad play call, which it probably, I don't know if I go trick play there either, but
Yeah,
uh, there were five Alabama defenders right there waiting for it to pick that ball off.
and as tough as our running game has been at times, I mean, to hold possibly the best running back that we played all season, the 56 yards.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. A lot of talk about him coming in the game and what he could do to that defense, and yeah, 56 yards is.
now I will give Peyton
Mm,
Thorne his credit.
uh-huh.
That fool is a little. Fool was a little bit mobile. We couldn't sack that fool. He kept on rolling,
He
and I
he
was like,
did,
Mike,
man.
we
He
could
was
not put
doing
our
some
camera on
like
him. I was
I'm
just like,
trying to
Jesus.
think. Josh Allen's not the right comparison because he's bigger, but he just one of them slippery dudes back there, and it wasn't any, it wasn't like Lamar Jackson breaking ankles and doing amazing stuff. It was just that
He was just,
annoying pocket
yeah,
presence guy that could just not get sacked.
yeah,
Yeah, we put a lot of hands on him that he slipped away from. A lot of guys just took just the wrong angle, or there was one, was it Malachi or some safety came in just hot on the blitz and just ran right by him. I was like, ah.
yeah. And
But overall, great effort by the defense.
yeah. I was like, my goodness, this fool is elusive as shit.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
it's
prettiest
frustrating, but
part was that the game ended on what he's been known for all season, of course, the interception.
yeah,
That was pretty hilarious.
yeah, yeah, and you look at it, and when you turn the ball over four times and still win by two touchdowns, and really the
Hey,
score wasn't even that close.
That's
You got to like that, yeah, especially in a rivalry game, especially like we said, all that talking they were doing this week. I
hey,
noted too. What was that? What's his name? The Riddick
yeah.
linebacker was doing that talking on that first Jalen Milroe touchdown. Who got beat around that corner?
Ooh,
But
got burned.
ooh, mm,
And he got lit up.
ugh.
And they got chippy at the end after the game. Boy, they got into it.
Chippy after the game, Chippy during the game.
That's
Which
good old hate.
another instance of just terrible SEC refereeing. So there, the play we're referencing, Devontae Smith, Alabama
Mm.
defender, locked up with a Auburn receiver. I can't remember who right now. They're blocking each other into the sideline. It goes deep onto the Auburn sideline.
They're going
Uh,
into it.
And like two of our guys get surrounded by the entire Auburn bench.
Yeah,
And oh man, is that right now? Buffalo
motherfucker.
is just whooping San Francisco. It is not a good night for the Niners.
Mm.
But so the entire bench surrounds it, and there are two flags.
and
both
both
on
of them.
Alabama.
I
You're
still don't know what
telling
Malachi.
me?
I still don't know what Malachi did at all there.
Oh no, yeah, I watched that replay a couple times. I could not see, but you're telling me that one,
It
that's
was
just bad
offsetting.
refereeing. When that happens, and I mean, obviously something happened in there to get them. Devontae was hot. I mean,
He was
there was something in there. Kalen DeBoer got hot, and he, was yelling. I saw him motion for a face mask. So I don't know if somebody ripped Devontae's helmet off or something like that.
yeah, but he
But
was
as a
pissed.
referee in a rivalry game at that point too, because that was what, like second quarter, third. It wasn't
Third.
that late. You have to take control of that game. You have to do offsetting penalties there, just to get the message to both teams that, like, hey, we're not doing this.
Exactly.
Like, calm it down. Like, keep it between the whistles. Right there, by doing that and calling only the fouls on Alabama, you gave Auburn carte blanche to
Oh yeah.
just do that, and they continue to be a little chippy the rest of the game.
Yeah, and
Like we
I don't
mentioned, there's a
understand
skirmish
how.
after the game.
Yeah, you even see Greg Byrne trying to break stuff.
Yeah, he was pulling guys away. It was crazy. I mean, that ended up being the theme of the day, and we'll get to that in the other games where it happened. But yeah, just
Just it was a
another
wild.
crazy SEC ref, and that guy, Gastro, whatever the hell his name is, he's got to go, man. That crew is terrible.
I mean,
Um,
just absolutely ridiculous. Like it's definitely offsetting. I mean, they're both going at it.
yeah.
I will say Devontae got the best of it. I mean, he kind of whooped his ass on the sideline. But anyway, but still, I mean, he still got caught offsetting because clearly they're both going at it. I mean, no
Well,
one's
and
in a
again,
better spot than the other.
the
Um,
entire Auburn team surrounded our guys. You have to throw that just to let them know,
that
like,
and just
hey,
to calm
this
that
is not
shit down.
okay. Because
Exactly.
what you're doing there is you're inviting, if something similar had happened after that on the Alabama sideline, you're inviting the whole Alabama team to get over there
I'll
and
do
get,
the same thing.
And so that's just
That's just
poor refereeing.
oh,
Your
definitely.
job as a ref is to control the game, and
Yeah, I mean that should be done any Saturday, but it's rivalry Saturday.
exactly, especially yeah.
They
hmm
stand each other. Folks live for this damn game.
hmm
Like you
Uh,
gotta, you
you got
can't.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
But
for the
yeah,
safety.
yeah, exactly, for the safety of the kids, for safety of everyone standing over there, because that was at the end too. That was in like the red zone, so
Yeah,
that's not just players and coaches over there. That's
yeah,
cheerleaders, photographers, press, guests.
yeah, all
Uh,
types.
yeah,
And
but yeah, like I said, so fifth win in a row in the Iron Bowl for Alabama. 9 wins now for Kalen DeBoer in his debut season. That ties Frank Thomas for the most all time in Alabama history. He has, of course, will have a chance to get to 10. Um, whether or not that's in the playoff will be decided. Some people think that maybe Alabama can sneak in. Some people think not enough happened for them. Maybe some championship
but
games will.
based upon the AP rankings, though, it looks good
Yeah,
for right now. I will say that.
it does. Well, the question I have to you isn't whether you think they'll get in or not, but I ask: is Alabama a playoff team?
You know, when we're playing good, absolutely. But our consistency hasn't been there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've said it. I don't think with how many one and two loss teams are out there, and I don't care what conference you come from, I don't care what you consider a certain strength of schedule, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, I don't think a three-loss team should be there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hey,
if they're gonna put us in, hey, I mean, I'm not gonna
um,
knock it too much because obviously we at the same time that we have those three losses and two I'll admit are bad losses. It doesn't look good. We also have some very good wins. Uh, Now, if
yeah.
it comes down, to us, Ole Miss and South Carolina, I mean, those South Carolina ended the season hot, and then that seems to be where a lot of people are looking, whether that's real or not, or just media driven. You have to look at head to head at some point, even if South Carolina's been better off in the last month than both us and Ole
Mm-hmm.
Miss. Same time, we will both beat Ole Miss and Alabama beat South Carolina, and that has to play
Mm-hmm.
something, or what's the point of head to head at all?
Exactly. Especially as much as college football media and purists love to tout the regular season, the importance of the regular season.
Mm.
As much as a great story South Carolina is, and they've been so hot this
Absolutely, they're a
November, they're
phenomenal
great.
team.
Good
Phenomenal
for
teams.
them. I hope wish them all the best in the future. But you cannot, if it comes down to those three teams, you cannot jump them ahead of Alabama or Ole Miss because
Mm.
they lost to them in the regular season. If you
Absolutely.
do that, then you are saying the regular season doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And
It
yeah,
just
and
depends how
that's
you count end the
yeah.
season, what you're
hmm
saying.
Um, and yeah, I mean they the good win over Clemson yesterday, got the win over A and
Oh,
M. Those
yeah.
are those are good
They have some
wins,
great.
but they also aren't on the caliber of Alabama and Ole Miss's both victories over Georgia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Uh, But yeah, so I tend to agree with you. I think if you knew that the A game was coming in, then absolutely Alabama's a not only a
They're a
playoff team
play,
but
I
a
mean,
title
a
contender.
national
But
title contender. But at
yeah,
the same time, and I really the thing that annoys me, I'm a SEC guy. You know that I love SEC football. We both do. But at the same time, I'm not a homer to the fact that, oh, we should get in because we're SEC, or if there's other teams out there, for
hmm
example, there's people after the Ohio State loss that thought Indiana shouldn't have any chance of making the playoff. They haven't played anybody, yada yada yada. I don't agree with that at the same time, you know.
hmm
So it's a slippery slope because we say, oh, the so and so is better than so and so because they're in the SEC or the Big Ten, or they had a tougher schedule. But at the end of the day, if those teams don't play, it's all hypotheticals. So it's
hmm
hard to go off hypotheticals, and we can look at strength of schedule. But some of that's kind of annoying to me, just because because I feel like teams like Indiana or an SMU, um, they're not necessarily getting the same value because of their name more than anything else. Because if that had been, Indiana team was a Michigan or a Penn State, no one's questioning that a one-loss team. No one's gonna, because Michigan, Ohio State have had plenty of soft schedules until they
hmm
played each other, and no one's batted an eye. So
yeah.
it's just funny that it's changed based on the name.
Oh yeah, and that's absolutely what it is. And uh, I'm with
And
you.
because
Indiana
the playoff
did.
was supposed to
Yeah.
help out with that, right?
Exactly. It's supposed to get fresh, and that's part of the reason they expanded is the fatigue of having Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and whatever fourth team in there. People were getting tired of that. Clemson,
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, whoever, and so part of it was getting more teams in. Giving them a chance to field. And when
But then
Indiana does
everybody
what
is
you're
fighting
supposed to
that.
do, which is just beat the teams that are on your schedule, and not only
Yeah.
beat them, they beat the hell out of everyone they played, except for that Ohio
Yeah,
State game.
they did. And it's crazy too because we're also looking at it. This is also at the same time you say, Indiana didn't have a good schedule. It's also Indiana. Now, normally, if they played a Washington or a
Mhm.
Michigan team and had lost those games, and no one's blinking an eye or thinking, oh, that's. But it should be impressive enough that they turned around from 3-9 to 11-1. And I don't care if Michigan's bad; they still did enough to beat Ohio State yesterday, and they
Mhm.
dominated them. Washington has been up and down, but it's still Washington, and they dominated them. Those aren't just anybody's. They're not as good this year, but they're still good enough. And we're also talking about Indiana, who has no history of beating good teams or big name teams. So it's still impressive in my book for that. And then you look at like an SMU team, sitting there at 11-1, going to the ACC title game. And my fear is if they lose to Clemson, they're going to get kicked, and I don't think that's
Mhm.
right. Because even if they don't win that game and end up 11-2, I think they've done more than enough to be in the playoff. And I don't
Absolutely,
think they're
yeah.
and I don't think they're going to get that opportunity if they lose to Clemson.
And yeah, they're another team that handled their business this year and only
Yeah.
losses what that BYU game, right? Yeah,
Right. And that was early in the
undefeated.
season, and when they're
Yeah,
figuring out their quarterback situation.
undefeated in conference, and they're another team.
And another thing is,
Excuse me.
bless you, nobody can say that SMU had a soft schedule because SMU moved up to a
Mm-hmm.
power conference. So no matter what, their overall schedule was better than anything they've played because they moved up from the American to the Power Four conference. So nobody can say they had a soft schedule because for them it was a step up every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they did what they won a
And
power
they handled.
conference, and you're supposed to.
They moved
They
up to the bigger
finish.
conference and handled business and beat
Yeah,
everybody.
undefeated conference season until this
And no,
title game
and
next week.
exactly. So
And like Indiana, a lot of those games weren't close. They had a
yeah.
couple wacky ones in
I mean,
there, but
they had that weird, the Duke game, but they overcame like 6 turnovers and won that one still
yeah,
on the
which
road.
is impressive. That's something that I consider. If I were on the committee, I'd be like, "That's a playoff team. If you commit
Yeah,
6 turnovers on the road to a good team and still win that
find a way to
game,
win.
yeah, that's what playoff teams do." Um,
Exactly. So-
but yeah, and this is all why I used to call for the playoff way back when we were in school because that
oh,
would have been
absolutely.
the perfect time to implement it would have been after that '04 season when you had
When they
what
had
five
USC,
USC, Oklahoma, Auburn, Boise, and TCU or Utah, maybe Utah.
because Utah in '04.
Yeah, all finished the season, regular season unbeaten, and
Mm-hmm.
that should have been really the moment when they. And back then, you could have done it too. You could have gone to every conference gets an automatic bid,
Absolutely.
and then I think there were 11 conferences back then, and then 16-team playoff. Every
Yep.
conference gets auto bid, 5 at large bids.
Yep.
You still had the old Big East back then.
Yep.
It would have eliminated all this unnecessary conference realignment crap.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because everybody will say it was such a difficulty, but the FCS has had playoffs our whole lives
yeah,
with no
uh
problem.
huh. They got a 2014 playoff. There's no
Yeah.
problem. They still find the best teams.
Yeah.
It's great to watch too. I love watching some
Yeah.
FCS
Some
playoff.
of those FCS games are
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, let's move on. Keep going to rivalry week. We mentioned the other big one of the day. Ohio State still
Wow.
has a Michigan problem. Another
Jeez.
loss. Like it kind of dominated too. It was a close score, and Michigan wins on a late field goal, 13-10. But man,
Just
they shut
crazy.
that high-powered Buckeye offense down
All the
in
way down.
Columbus.
And this wild. You would have thought going into that game. Now we probably expected to be a little bit closer because it's a rivalry game and maybe they don't cover that 21. But for Michigan to just be in that game the whole time with
Hmm.
that talent difference and in a situation that you've lost 3 in a row to them and all that frustration and Michigan's still able to keep it close on the road and pretty much dominate. And if Michigan had any inkling of an offense, they might have blown out Ohio State yesterday.
Yeah,
Their
absolutely.
quarterback
Yeah,
is terrible.
if they had a passing game, that one could have got real ugly.
Yeah,
Um,
just wild. I don't know what Ryan Day just can't. He's like John Cooper. He can't beat Michigan for any reason.
It's so weird, and we've said it before in the past. That Jim Harbaugh constructed that roster almost specifically to beat Ohio State because
Absolutely.
he couldn't get over that hump for years,
Yeah,
and they finally did, and now it's just. I
flipped
mean,
his
Ohio
flipped
State
it on its head.
fans, I think there's going to be conversations this winter,
Oh yeah.
unless
They
Ryan
don't win the
Day turns.
national. If they don't win the national
Yeah,
title,
hmm
absolutely, it's gonna be
yeah,
tough.
and that's it.
Um,
He has to win it. I mean, there's no win a game or two, make it to the title game.
no.
He's got to win it to secure his job because anything else, there's going to be conversations there that like,
Yeah.
is he the man?
Can he
Is he the
win it?
right one? Yeah. Can he beat Michigan? Because Michigan's only going to get better
Yeah.
after this first
Oh
season.
yeah.
Sharon
Of
Moore is going
course.
to.
I mean, we've already seen them put out $10 million for their quarterback.
Exactly. They
So
got a big superstar
you know
quarterback coming in.
they obviously changed their way. You know, for a while Michigan was kind of the old school. Oh, we're not gonna really
Mm-hmm.
play that game, and, and that switched quickly once Harbaugh was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you got to play that. I mean, realistically, everybody has to play that game these days. That's just how you. That's part of it. Staying competitive NIL wise,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, that's just where we're at. But you know, it's just crazy. You know, that Michigan was able to pull that off, considering all the difference. Um, Man, I then they had a chance in heck. Just I thought all the frustrations they were gonna let out. But man, when we got to halftime and it's sitting there, I'm just like, wow, they might
Mm-hmm.
pull this off again.
It's insane. And, it really it shouldn't. It won't affect Ohio State's making the playoff.
I mean, they still only
Maybe I
have
don't.
two
I don't even
losses.
know if. Yeah, I don't know if it'll even cost them a home game. It cost them a chance to win the Big Ten title and get a bye.
Yeah,
Whether it knocks them out of a home game, I don't even think that'll happen. Honestly,
right.
I think they might drop down to maybe that like 8 seed, 7, 8 seed,
Yeah,
probably, and they'll still host a game.
but just wild that they.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Like you said, it's like uh, John Cooper, it's Ryan Day just cannot. He 1-4 now against Michigan,
And it's
and
like that.
what was like 47-1 versus the rest of the
Everybody
Big
else.
Ten. Yeah,
Yeah, just just crazy.
but
Excuse me, but it
crazy. Yeah, and
just
then on Friday night we almost
wow,
had another big rivalry upset.
man,
Georgia
did we?
Tech took UGA to the
Wow.
limit. Had a what 17-0 lead.
Yeah, he jumped out to
Uh,
that 17-0 lead.
and
Georgia
we're up
kept fighting back.
and we're up 14 with 5 minutes left, and there were Georgia fans leaving Sanford Stadium.
Yeah, they were leaving.
Uh,
They thought
and
it was over. I'd be.
and then
I mean, I'm not the fan to ever really leave a game, but
no, yeah,
those that did, I mean, that's hilarious to me. Y'all missed
yeah,
that,
and then
and it
yeah,
again shows you, man. You know they Georgia Tech, they did exactly what we thought that they'd be able to do was run the ball, and did they run it?
hmm
I think at the end they were just tired more than
yeah,
anything.
they were, but also, man, and now look, I think you probably agree, but I hate the damn college overtime. I hate the 2 point
Oh,
conversion contest.
that yes, we
It's
talked about
so
that
dumb.
last week. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. It's
it
stupid. It's dumb.
just
Just get it back to what every overtime. I don't
yeah.
care. You after the second one, sure, go for two.
Yeah, make them go for two instead of kicking the extra point, but still
Yeah,
start it at the 25 every
started at the
overtime.
25. This one play at the
Yeah.
2 or 3 yard line, simply ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who thought it was a good idea. I don't know how that even passed. Honestly,
Yeah, all because of that
it's
one
supposed.
crazy 8 overtime game with LSU and Texas A&M where nothing bad happened. It's not like
Oh,
they're,
it's
again,
just
we're
an
repeating
epic.
points from last
It's
week.
just an
Yeah.
epic.
So,
Yeah, it's just it was an epic game. I know
yeah.
Arkansas has been in a few crazy ones over the years.
Hmm.
I think they had like a 7 or 8 overtime with Kentucky and Ole Miss. And,
Hmm.
we had that. Even we had a 5-1. Sadly, when we lost to Tennessee our sophomore year,
Oh, man.
went five. But I mean, nobody. No one ever got hurt in these games. They said
Hmm.
it's supposedly for the safety, but like we talked about, they've added so many other games now. Like, stop that. That's not a true statement in any way. I
Hmm.
mean, these guys, if they're good in the fourth quarter, they're going to be good for overtime. There's not, and yeah, that one play at the 2 yard line is just, I don't know. It's annoying. I don't think anybody likes it. No one's a fan of it. And that's everybody
No,
was talking
yeah.
about. Like, what? This is ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how it even left the room after the original concept. Sure, talk about it, but I don't even know how it left the room as a real option.
No, it's so stupid. Yeah, and it's one of these things. NCAA classic NCAA. It's fixing a
Mhm.
problem that isn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a problem.
It
But
went.
I said all that just to say the one thing that pisses me off because then these coaches you change up your tendencies and do this.
Yeah,
You know, where I thought Georgia Tech, maybe you're right, maybe it's just because they're tired, but they ran the ball all game. That's how they got there. And then
and then they
when they
started passing, and they're
they
freaking.
stopped and they had multiple chances where their defense stopped Georgia from
Yeah,
making a two, and then they themselves missed it, and they just didn't. I think they only attempted one run on those 2 point conversions and
yeah,
got stuffed, and it was the wrong read too. There was a little jet sweep, and what's his face King kept it, and
yeah.
he should have given it to that jet sweep because oh boy, it
Oh
was
yeah,
wide open. He had a clear path to score.
yeah. I mean, it was. I don't know.
Yeah, it
Excuse me.
shows the resiliency of this Georgia team. You know, we saw
Yeah,
the big comeback this year versus Alabama. They ended up losing
yeah.
that, but a great comeback, like we said, late too. Georgia
21 points.
Tech's.
21 points in the fourth quarter. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were real big. Like we said, they were down 14 with about 5 minutes to go after Georgia Tech scored a big touchdown, long drive, and then
I thought for sure that was gonna be
yeah, I didn't think
enough.
they had enough time, but they got big plays. They got to stop, and they tied it
Yeah,
up, and then won the game in 8 overtimes. To really probably clinch themselves a playoff berth. You know, unless
regardless.
Texas beats the ever loving shit out of them in the
Yeah,
SEC title game. But yeah, had they lost that game, they would
they would
have.
have they would have had to win the SEC.
Yeah, they would have been on the ropes there. But
Yeah,
big win for Georgia. Tough loss for Georgia Tech.
man,
But again, that program is going places. Brent Key is the right
they
coach, and
are.
you hope for their sake they can keep him around and keep
Yeah,
building because
for sure.
they play
Cause they,
great.
yeah, I mean they had a great game plan. It almost worked perfectly. Um, you hated to see that they lost that game.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
mean,
let's go. Go ahead.
no, but just what a different team. I mean, there's seven ended up 7-5 on the season, but I mean, you gotta look. Most of those losses came when those middle losses against like Notre Dame and Va Tech. Haynes
Hmm.
King wasn't even playing those games,
Hmm.
so I mean, they're much better than what the record shows. Um, I would say so. I mean, Georgia Tech, yeah, definitely going places. Can they keep him? Just keep building on what they're doing. And that ACC is a conference that's, an open conference, I would say. I mean, if a new team like SMU can come in and make the championship in the first year, obviously it shows, it's a tough conference, but one that's, you don't necessarily, I mean, it's not just dominated by one team. So Georgia Tech
Hmm.
very much could be in the mix next year.
Absolutely. Another rivalry that didn't quite live up to the hype as this game though. Texas and Texas A&M, first
Yeah,
time in 13 years. Not a dud of a game, but I think Texas just kind of smothered the A&M offense.
they did.
A&M had a couple chances, a real big chance late, fourth, and they got down a goal line stand by the Longhorns.
Yeah,
A&M had a chance to cut it to a one-score game. And interesting decision. They tried to go for the touchdown. They were down 10 anyway, so they needed a field goal in there.
yeah,
Maybe you decide to kick field goal there, but I understand also trying to line up and earn
right.
it. But man, Texas line blew that play up.
Yeah.
What
Um,
I don't like in those situations is that single back
no.
because I always like if you're gonna line up, try to power football on the one,
Have a
get a lead blocker back there.
exactly.
Um,
Or
but
two tight
yes,
ends or something.
yeah. So
Yeah, I mean the game kind of disappointing. I mean,
mm,
really, I mean, if anything, Ewers tried to keep Clint Ewers tried to keep A&M in the game with some of his stuff. He had the pick
yeah,
six, then he had the fumble, and then he tried
yeah.
he did a lot to try to keep A&M in the game. Honestly,
It
because I mean
was
A&M's offense didn't do anything.
not his best game. We saw a little Arch Manning with a nice touchdown run there for
Uh,
them. Yeah, Aiden's offense was not doing a whole lot.
no.
just squandering opportunities. It's tough, It's young quarterback there. They'll get there. It's another
Mhm.
program. I think they got the right coach there.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, and obviously, we know they have the resources and they're willing to spend. So
Right.
talent. But Texas's win sends them to the SEC title game. They'll get a rematch with Georgia as they try to avenge their loss from earlier in the year.
That'd be interesting.
Uh, Another team, yeah, first year in the conference. In fact, all Power Four conferences, a first year team will be playing for the conference title.
That's
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, it's crazy. Moving on, one that's not a rivalry but a big upset nonetheless. Miami goes into Syracuse and
Mm.
blows a 21 to nothing lead in their
Yeah.
chance to win an ACC title. Finally, still not going to
Jeez.
happen. Uh,
Jeez.
this is crazy to think. A program like Miami has now gone over 20 years without a conference title.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm making what, only one appearance in the game? I
yeah, I think so. But
think they had that game against Clemson, and then they got dog walked.
yeah, yeah. But a great win for Syracuse. Good first year or a good year for them. They're nine
Ryan
and three.
Brown,
Um,
hell of a season.
yeah, hell of a season there. Not much expected of them. Uh, you
Funny
know,
enough, Ohio State could have probably used Kyle McCord yesterday.
yeah, man. Yeah, great season for that kid. After being
Getting
maligned is not good enough to play at Ohio State, goes to Syracuse, has a great
what's
season.
up?
Huge
Numbers.
upset. Yeah, joking with the coach, Syracuse coach after the game in his post game interview, saying, "Dabo, you're welcome," basically, because
Yeah.
Clemson. Granted, they played a non conference game yesterday, but they lost at home
Still, yeah.
to arch rival South Carolina. A late one, Lenore Sellers, big touchdown run in the end, and then that South Carolina defense gets a big pick to seal it.
Yeah. Our shoes. 2 wins in a row now in Clemson.
Yeah,
That's,
crazy. But
mm,
that upset though leaves the door open. Clemson now will play
Clemson.
SMU as we
Okay.
mentioned.
For the
So
for the ACC.
yeah, now your question after that game though is Miami worthy of a playoff spot because they got the two losses
They
late
don't
and
they
then
don't have much work.
yeah,
Unfortunately, they don't have much working for them because they don't have any big
exactly.
wins. They
That
have no big
Florida
wins on
win
the
looks
schedule.
their best win is probably Florida, I guess.
Yeah.
On as good as Florida, maybe Duke, you could say.
Yeah.
They have wins over Florida, who that became a good win later in the year, but that early Florida team that was
It's terrible.
obviously not the same team.
Not the
Um,
same team
but
anyway.
Duke's a 9-3 team, so
Yeah.
that's a good win. Win at
It's not
Louisville,
gonna. But that, but
yeah, they're.
Duke and Louisville win. I mean, Louisville fell off a little bit,
Mhm.
um, and I mean, you got to look at it too. I mean, I guess really the only thing that they have going for them, excuse me, they have the only way that they somehow get into the playoff is, of course, SMU. They have to be the biggest SMU fans
Mhm.
because then, of course, Clemson's out, so that leaves that spot. And then they're going up against the SEC. I would say probably in Alabama, South Carolina, no
Mhm.
Miss. They don't have a chance really, but I they didn't play anybody for real. Um, so not nothing of their own, but I mean they can't help the schedule. But at the same time, I mean the games that they lost, it's just games of championship teams can't lose. Both of them. One
Yeah.
is okay. Both, it's not a good look. Um,
No.
so,
Yeah. Not at all.
especially when you had leads in both the games. I mean, were up 21-0 yesterday, um,
Mhm.
and then you had they had the lead against Georgia Tech too. No, they never. They just they were fighting from behind against Georgia Tech.
They
But I
had
mean,
they had an early lead. I think like a 3 point lead in that
mhm.
game. But yeah, the
but
second half they never led in the second half. They had to try to
right.
come back. But still,
But
yeah, that's not
you
good.
gotta win one. You at least gotta win one of those.
Yeah, it's not good to lose two out of your last three games. You don't get to play for a conference title now.
You really
Uh,
don't have anything to stand on. I mean, really,
mm-mm.
the only thing you have to stand on is you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Now, if the committee wants to sign him, that's really your biggest argument. Is hey, people might want to see Cam Ward a few more times, at least one more time.
Yeah, yeah,
Other
they
than
were
that, I don't know what the other argument they really have.
yeah, they were number 6 in last week's, college football playoff ranking. So we'll see
And
how
you
the
really
committee drops
can't.
on Tuesday, and we'll see
Yeah,
because yeah, there wasn't enough noise around them
no.
to excuse me, damn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Uh, but yeah, there really wasn't that much. It's not like a bunch of teams behind them lost too, so they're oh okay, so no, that's
Yeah.
nobody really behind them lost. In fact,
Yeah. Nobody.
Clemson's the only team really behind them that lost. If you go down that rankings,
Yeah. Everybody
Miami was
wins.
6 last week behind them. Georgia winner, Tennessee winner, good win for them at
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. Nico played maybe his best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, SMU winner, Indiana winner, Boise State winner, Clemson
Yeah. They
lost,
got no help.
Alabama winner, Ole Miss winner, South Carolina winner, Arizona State big winner, going to the Big 12 title game.
Yeah. So
Um,
they had
and
no. They
yeah,
got
it
no
is.
help, and they didn't did themselves no.
Yeah, you
Just a
don't see
bad.
another loser in those rankings, and
No.
except until you get to Tulane at 17.
Yeah.
Beside that Clemson.
Yep.
Uh,
So it was not
so
a good week
that's
to lose, especially
no, it
in that
wasn't.
situation.
So yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Those rankings on
Yep.
Tuesday will set us up
Very interesting.
for conference title week. What else do I have? I guess any other rivalry games you want to talk about before we go on to next week, conference championship
Um,
week?
Let me think. I mean, no. I mean, everything else kind of. I mean, I was happy for a little bit when Vanderbilt jumped out 14 real fast. I was like,
Hmm.
and then Tennessee kind of woke up, and that was the end of that. But they
Yeah.
were down 14. Other than that, I mean,
It was
you
a
know,
wild day. I guess the Big 12. We always love to talk about them. Just a wild day in deciding, wild weekend really, in deciding
yeah.
who
I mean, it went
would
all the way to the
make.
last game, as we said
It
it
did.
would.
Colorado
All the way.
set the stage early on Friday with a big
Oh my
52
God.
nothing win over Oklahoma State.
I
And
was,
then I don't know if you caught any of those, but did you see like the flow charts that people made to, tell you who needed to win what game
yeah,
to get what match?
I
It was
saw some of it.
insane.
There was a
Yeah,
lot of different combinations out there.
and like you said, it got down to the end last night where Arizona State had clinched their spot,
Hmm.
and it got down to the Houston BYU game. If Houston had won, Colorado would have been there, and
Yeah.
if BYU won, then Iowa State made it, and BYU did win. Iowa State is now in it. It's
So now we
Iowa
have the
State
Arizona
and
State.
Arizona State. Not a matchup I don't think a lot of people had.
Anybody? I
Iowa
don't know.
State, they've been
I
there.
think they had a little bit of. I mean, there was a little talk about
Mhm.
them at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Definitely no love for Arizona State. I mean, what Kenny
Mhm.
Dillingham did. I mean, to go from 3-9 to 9-3. I mean, just an
Yeah.
epic coaching job.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's gonna come down to him or Signetti for Coach of the Year.
Mhm.
Um, but then there's
Yeah.
situation he entered in. I mean, because with their all their issues after the last coaching staff, I mean,
Mhm.
basically they're saying, hey, you win here. You like the program, so we're going to give you the job, but it's a train wreck. Herm
Yeah.
Edwards and then left it in a horrible spot. NCAA sanctions, all types of craziness, and he just came in and embraced it, and you know
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the
They're
verge
basically
of
like, best of luck to you, man. We hope you do good. But
yeah,
a lot of people had them picked toward the, if not last, toward the bottom of the
yeah.
Big
Them and
12.
BYU were at the bottom.
Then
I think
BYU,
they're
Houston, yeah. And now they're in Colorado. A lot of not a lot of faith in Colorado. So
no. I mean, they
that
were
that
four
big.
and eight last year, and
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah, so I mean, great season, like you said, great season, and they finished in style yesterday too. Just
Oh, did
absolutely
the
kicked the shit out
house.
of
Yeah.
Arizona.
And that was a
Um,
game a lot of people were kind of wondering, man,
mhm.
Arizona could play spoiler here. Is
No,
Arizona State,
no.
super excited about what they did the week prior? They're
Mhm.
feeling themselves, and nope, not a chance. Kenny
Sh-
Dillingham had his boys ready to go.
Shut that down. They planted the pitchfork. Uh,
Uh,
actually,
that's,
we haven't even talked about all these different foes. We didn't even talk about the
oh,
Ohio State Michigan
oh
fight
yeah,
at the end of that game, man.
that was wild.
There was
'Cause first of
that.
all,
Yeah,
you
go
know, the
ahead.
Pepper. I guess with the other, we could talk about Florida State, Florida too. I mean, that's a rivalry game that
Mm-hmm.
we know the hatred in that rivalry game. Um, probably, probably my favorite of the Florida rivalries because I think it's more intense than even Florida State, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a certain hate when those two get together. Um, and we saw the flag thing there too, planting that flag.
Mm-hmm.
Man, but like some people have said, you know, if people had as much energy during the game as they did trying to protect their 50-yard line from getting flagged, maybe maybe they could have won the game.
Right? Yeah, if you brought that in, yeah. And then even I think Steve Sarkisian stopped his players from planting it at
Yes,
Texas A&M. But
did.
I did see something funny online. I guess his comments were, we're not about that, blah blah blah. Um, and someone pointed out that Texas players planted their flag at the Michigan 50 earlier in the
Yeah,
season.
they
So,
did.
yeah,
They
hey,
did.
granted it's a little different, but yeah, that crazy. So you look at the final Big 12 conference standings. It's that four-way tie, but it's Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, Colorado.
Yeah.
No one had that.
No,
And then
absolutely.
you had the teams like Utah and Arizona, who a lot of people thought would
We're
be in
high
that
on
race. Yeah,
Oklahoma
nowhere near
State. A lot of
that.
people are high on.
Yeah,
Terrible
ooh,
season.
0-9 in con. Just man.
They went to the Big 12
Mike.
title game last year.
Mike Gundy's got some work to do there apparently because I don't
Yeah.
know what
I
happened
don't know where
there.
it went wrong, but it went south real quick.
Very wrong. Yeah. Um. Uh. And an interesting one here: UCF 2-7 in conference, 4-8 year. Gus Malzahn leaving
Leaving
UCF to go be offensive coordinator in
at Florida
Tallahassee.
State.
That's
Now,
now granted, we've seen what a dangerous, offense, when he calls plays, when he can focus on that,
had he been calling the play? Was he the calling plays at UCF though? I'm confused by that
I thought, I
because,
would assume he would be because he's not really the type of guy to give it up, but maybe not. But
but
I
I'm
think
saying
they
he
had
brought
problems beyond.
right. They did, but I'm saying the offense wasn't very. They had the one impressive game where they put up points on. You know, they had the comeback against TCU and they put up a boatload of
Yeah.
yards and stuff. Outside of that, and KJ Jefferson at UCF didn't go nearly as great as what I thought it was going to be. I thought Gus was really
No,
going to use that.
and I know he
And
battled some injuries, I think this year, I guess, but yeah, they started out 3-0 and then ended their season losing, 8 of
dude,
9.
after they got blown out by Colorado, their season fell apart.
Yeah, they ended losses to, and granted, it was kind of a tough schedule, but even then, they lost at Florida, which okay, lost to Cincinnati, lost at Iowa State, okay, lost to BYU, and now what we know now, like, oh, okay, yeah. You mentioned that they put 56 on Arizona, and you thought maybe okay, maybe they'll finish this season strong, get to a bowl. No, after that, loss at Arizona State, loss at West Virginia, and then of course the loss to Utah this weekend.
Yeah. So
And
this, and I don't like. I don't know. Like, if I'm Florida State, is that? I don't know if that. I guess some of the people are excited. I mean, I've seen some of their fans excited about it,
mm,
but I'm thinking they're thinking like 20. I mean, but I mean, he then there's no Cam Newton coming through that door.
it's a very specific type of offense he
Yeah.
needs. Um,
Now it makes you wonder. I, is Castellanos going to Tallahassee? You know, the Boston College guy. He would fit that
hmm.
uh, style.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, the transfer portal is going to be interesting this year. I'll tell you
Very
another
impressive.
name. I tell you who I think, and I hate to think it, but a guy that would probably thrive in a Gus Malzahn offense that utilizes his strengths right. Jalen Milrow.
He
um,
would. Yeah. And
yeah.
somebody pointed that out. Some Florida State fan was like, come to Tallahassee, Jalen.
Now
Because,
that
there's a
said,
lot of talk that
mhm,
yesterday was his last game in Tuscaloosa,
mhm.
unless we go to the playoff. Whether that
He-
be he goes to the NFL or he transfers. Yeah, I just think just for everything to happen, yeah, it's kind of the end. Um, so yeah, I mean, and
No,
that would be
that.
crazy considering they're on the schedule next year.
Mhm.
That'd be a story in
Oh,
itself.
that would be. Now that said, he is getting a lot of good grades from
Yeah,
NFL scouts. I
NFL
think Mel
scouts
Kiper has him his third best
top five, third. I
QB.
was like, oh,
I saw
that's
a mock last week that had him going a late first round pick.
uh,
And they specifically said in there that a lot of NFL scouts love his potential and love his,
yeah,
potential for his talent. The NFL loves drafting based
but,
on potential. We saw
yeah.
Anthony Richardson go
I
number
mean,
3,
if
and they're
Anthony
very
Richardson
similar
go
quarter.
high,
Yeah,
Milrow
yeah,
could definitely go high
yeah,
because he
absolutely.
hasn't shown half of what Milrow's done.
Exactly, and you can. There are definitely legitimate criticism of Jalen Milrow in his game. His
Yeah.
accuracy, his ability to read defenses, but
There's
his
people in
tape
the
looks a
NFL that
lot
can't
better
read
than
defenses.
Anthony Richardson's Florida tape ever
Oh,
looked.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's been, let's just say it's been way worse first round draft picks
hmm
than what someone could do with Jalen Milrow.
exactly, especially if you're late round guy team, you get him, and he has a couple of years to learn under a
Yeah,
veteran quarterback. Yeah,
absolutely.
so that'll be
Now,
interesting to see
if
his
I'm look
decision. Yeah.
now, honestly, I love Jalen, but if I'm an NFL guy,
hmm
I'm not. I wouldn't. He's not a. I wouldn't. Unless you have someone that's sitting there that he can learn under for a couple of years,
hmm
then
Yeah.
absolutely. But if you're looking for your franchise guy right now,
hmm
good luck.
No, yeah. He's more of an Aaron Rodgers type situation. You
Oh yeah,
draft him, you let
yeah,
him learn under
exactly,
someone for a couple years. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, but and I will say the one last thing on Jalen with his game, and two, yeah, if we're playing NFL, GM or whatever, famous quote, Mike Leach once said, of course we know he knows quarterbacks. He said you can teach quarterback just about everything. You can coach him up, you can train him, you can get him in the weight room, etc. The one thing you can't really uh, teach a guy is accuracy. He's like, quarterbacks are either accurate or they're not. So
Yeah, huh.
that's one thing interesting to see. But
Yeah,
whatever Jalen does, I wish him all the best. Of course,
absolutely. Because
it
I
will be
mean,
interesting to see. Yeah, obviously, if Alabama makes a playoff, you got Jalen's your guy. But if
yeah, no
they
question.
miss out and they go to a bowl, I think that is
I
interesting to see
was
if
that. Yeah, he
maybe Ty Simpson has a
stays it up.
chance to audition
Yeah,
for next year. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think we'll have an interesting QB battle next year because no
for
matter
sure.
how it goes, I think Jalen's done in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
So that'd be very interesting because we have a lot of names out there. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, we will see how it goes.
Absolutely. But yeah, let's go real quick. Some other results this week. We mentioned Tulane Thursday night lost to
That was a
Memphis.
shocker.
It was
Absolutely
doesn't really
dominant.
change much. I guess it probably, well, not really, because if Boise State loses to UNLV and Tulane wins the American, they would maybe
But they
pass them
still.
as the highest ranked uh, you know
But what?
group of
But would that
five
put?
conference
But I
champion.
would have
Yeah.
thought that put UNLV in the.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what the let's see here real quick. I think I have the
'Cause
rankings pulled up. Here we go. Last week, let's let it
what is
pull up.
UNLV's loss to Boise
Tulane
and
was 17th.
13?
UNLV was 22nd last week. So right now,
Uh,
Tulane is 5 spots ahead of UNLV. Now, how that changes this week with the loss remains to be seen. But yeah, that's one thing interesting. Speaking of Boise, they had no problem with who did they play? Oregon State. Ashton Genty, another 200 plus yard
200. Yeah.
game. He is
They made sure he
ever
got his
37 carries. Ooh, man. Um,
work.
Egg Bowl, the weird, daytime Black Friday game, but Ole Miss gets their second straight Egg Bowl, 12-point
Yeah.
win. Uh, I
Hit
picked
that
the
extra,
over, and yeah, I
please.
picked the over in this one, and I thought it was looking great after that first quarter, and
Yeah.
then
And they sat on it.
yeah,
It was
um,
weird because I would have thought if anything, Ole Miss is going to try to put up stop points because they want to do everything they
mm,
can. And I don't know if they just sat on it because of his relationship with the Mississippi State quarterback Lane and him have a good.
Yeah.
relationship. Maybe he was being nice. I don't know, but I would thought Ole Miss would have tried to just do everything they could to blow him out. But
Yeah. But yeah, and surprisingly, that one wasn't that chippy. As
So,
that
I
it
think
can be.
because that, I think because a lot of those people, a lot of people on both teams transferred in there.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if they, it's not your Mississippi State teams in the past so much anymore.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's gonna be some, but I mean, it seems like there was a lot of transfers on both sides who don't necessarily aren't built on the hate. Now, your second goal, if you're coming back next year, could be a little different. But
Yeah, that's one.
because I
You know.
love that game.
Oh,
Get it
it's
back
yeah.
to
I'm
Thursday
still
night, please.
exactly. Do it for our girl Mallory, man. She is mad. She said that's her Thanksgiving tradition. Eat Thanksgiving dinner at the tailgate, have a ball that night. It's the perfect
Absolutely,
game to watch at night after stuff full of
yeah,
turkey and all that, and you had your
yeah.
second round, and then
Get your second round or dessert action, watching the
yeah,
Egg Bowl. Yeah. Perfect way to end your Thanksgiving night.
absolutely, yeah, it's great. Let's see elsewhere. Oregon took care of business against rival Washington.
Yeah,
Let's see. Penn State just blew out Maryland, and thanks to that excuse me, Ohio State lost. Penn State will now play Oregon in the Big Ten title
interesting.
game.
That is
Notre
very
Dame, impressive win at USC, big second half.
yeah,
Uh, got it's tied kind of late, and then two pick sixes late in that game for the
yeah.
Irish. They really looking strong.
They are
Probably, they got to be the fifth seed. I don't know who else could be that right there, but um,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
yeah,
anybody even has an argument because I
no,
mean
yeah,
they've been just a dominant team.
yeah. Let's see. SMU took care of California, Indiana, big 66 nothing win over Purdue.
And Purdue fired their
Uh,
coach.
yeah, Purdue did. Yeah, let their coach go. Tough year for them. 1-11, 0-9 in the Big Ten. I mentioned Iowa State is going to the Big 12 title game. It's because they won Farmageddon, beat Kansas State.
Such a funny name.
Yeah, first 10-win season in school history, surprisingly. Uh, which
Wow,
now
that
leaves, I
just
think, Vanderbilt as the only power conference team never to have a 10-win season.
that's wild though to think about that they've
Hmm.
never
Hmm.
in their history have had
Uh,
10 wins. So
yeah. See,
they
Missouri beat Arkansas by a touchdown. Let's
yeah, that
see.
came down to the last, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
I know some
Where's the?
Arkansas fans are pissed about the play calling thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't. I think Sam Pittman's probably safe, but
Yeah, because he
definitely.
got the sixth bowl game. But again, I think I don't think next year they're gonna have to be better than that.
Yeah, absolutely for sure. Uh, UNLV clinch their spot. Big win, easy win over Nevada, and then Illinois a win over rival Northwestern. That rounds out top 25. But let's go to next week, as we mentioned, conference championship week. Another great week. You have, I'm going to list these in the order that they happen. Three on Friday
Excuse me.
night.
Mhm.
Three on Friday night. You got Conference USA title Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. I believe those two have played each other this year. Um, I want to say they played like just a week ago or something like that.
I think they
And
did. Let's see. Jacksonville State schedule.
let's see, I got that right. Here's it coming up. They did indeed. They
They did.
played. Yeah, yeah,
1917, Western Kentucky won.
yeah. Or was that this weekend actually?
It was
Yeah, it was.
the
That
world.
happened this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 1917 victory. So that would be a rematch then next
a
week.
rematch right away.
I believe it'll
Huh.
be in. Uh,
It'll be out. What?
it'll be in Jacksonville. Oh yeah. so they better record there.
Oh,
Got the Mountain
about to
West
say if
title
they're,
game. Oh,
about
go ahead.
to say, if they were playing, I was about to say if they're playing in Bowling Green again, that'd be crazy. Might
Yeah, no,
as
to
well
be
just stayed up.
in Jacksonville, Alabama. The Mountain West Championship, UNLV and Boise State. Well, that'll be
Uh,
on the blue turf up there in Boise. Should be a good one. And then also Friday night, the American Championship game. Thanks to Tulane's loss, that game will be in West Point
huh,
on the
interesting.
Blanks of the Hudson. Should be
Huh.
a good setting for that game.
Talking about chili
Mhm.
for those Tulane guys. Woo.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a different uh,
Atmosphere.
atmosphere for them. And then you go into Saturday. It kicks off with the Big 12
This-
championship game. Iowa State, Arizona State. Man, that's going to be fun.
that's gonna be a
Uh,
good game.
yeah,
Two completely different teams, but
yeah, yeah. Um, the MAC title game, same time, 11 next week. Ohio and Miami of Ohio. Good season for both of those programs. Neither of them really, I think, were thought of as contenders for the
I did
conference
pick
title
Ohio
early
as
on.
my MAC champion. I do remember doing
Oh,
that.
did you?
That was just off the top, but
Yeah, I'm
no,
gonna
I had
have
no
to.
reason or rationale. But
I'm gonna have to go back
I'm
this week.
looking,
I'm
yeah,
gonna listen to that episode. Yeah, I thought I had it written down somewhere. I did not. But I'm gonna go
I
back and.
know. I remember we both missed. We both had Utah winning the Big 12, so we're off there.
Mhm.
I think you had. Oh, I had Ohio. I think you had Dayton. No, not Dayton. I don't know why I said Dayton.
Toledo, probably. Yeah.
Toledo. Yep. I think we both had Georgia in the SEC.
Um,
I think we had
yeah.
Ohio State and Oregon in a rematch in the Big Ten.
Hmm.
I think we both had Ohio State winning the rematch, if I'm, and I think we both had Miami winning the ACC, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. Um, hmm. well, anyway, let's see. 3 o'clock next week, Georgia, Texas, that big SEC
The
championship. That's one
rematch.
thing I'm surprised that with that going to ABC now, they didn't move that to the primetime spot.
I
Um,
am kind of shocked by that.
yeah. Then you have Marshall and Louisiana Lafayette in the Sun Belt title game. That will be down there in Lafayette.
Yeah,
Uh, Big Ten championship, of course, we mentioned Penn State and Oregon and Indianapolis and Lucas Oil. And then, you know, that, hey, that's a good test for Penn State right there. That's,
yeah. And
you
James
can,
Franklin win a big game.
yeah, we see, is this just an Ohio State, Michigan thing, or is this just a big game thing? Uh,
And
so, yeah.
we
And
shall see.
then, yeah, and then of course we mentioned the ACC title game, Clemson and SMU. That was of course in Charlotte. SMU again, like I said, all power conferences, first time teams. You got SMU in the ACC, Oregon in the Big Ten, Texas in the SEC, and Arizona State in the Big 12.
That's just, that's wild. It's wild to think about, especially, especially in tradition-rich conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten. I know
Hmm.
it's a lot of people that doesn't sit well with.
Yeah,
Someone
a
to
lot
just
of
come in
pride
like
for
that.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, I'm most interested in the Big 12 and the ACC because those are really the only two where losers out.
Yeah, for sure.
They're both one and
Uh,
done conferences. So, I mean, even though I think SMU should get in regardless, reality is they're probably not getting in with the second loss. So, that being said, Arizona State, Iowa State, we know winners in, losers out. Texas, Georgia. I mean, there might be some talk to Georgia with the third loss, but chances of Georgia being left out, not very good. Texas is in regardless,
mhm.
win or lose. Penn State and Oregon, I mean, of course, Oregon's in. I mean, they're undefeated right now. Penn State still has that one loss. Even if they lose Oregon, there's no way they drop out to 12. And of course, one and done there in the nightcap in Charlotte with SMU and Clemson. So I mean, the first and the last game, my biggest, just because That's where we're going to see an elimination atmosphere.
Mm. No, yeah, there's going to be some another fun weekend,
Oh, absolutely.
and bigger this time, because of the all the playoff spots on the line.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
And it should be interesting to see, if Georgia was to lose, is any, third loss, is anybody going to gripe about Georgia?
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I would assume they're in, but then again, I mean, we don't know how much the people, uh, value conference championship games losses or not. If that, or but I'd be shocked if after last week of Georgia were to get left out. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. Like, I think it would take some like a monumental ass whooping
Yeah,
by Texas to knock Georgia out. It'd have to make Georgia look really bad, and even then,
that's, even then,
they,
I don't know. They
yeah,
just
they got a
that
long way
name.
to drop. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, let's move on to the pro game. Just real quick this week. Of course, big Thursday as always. Lions and Bears played a exciting one, and then the Bears just I
oh
don't
my
know what they
God,
were doing with that clock
most
management at the end.
most
Oof.
Chicago. That's the most Bears thing ever. And now they
Yeah,
fired their coach.
yeah,
But that was just the most Chicago Bears thing of all time. I mean, absolutely made
yeah,
no
and
sense.
in a season that started promising for them. They
It
were
did.
what 4-2 at one point, and now they've
That
lost
damn,
six in a row. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that damn
the Hail Mary
the
broke
Hail
them.
Mary
Yeah,
game changed everything.
it broke them. Yeah, they would have been 5-2. Yeah,
Yeah,
that broke them. But
they did. Definitely did.
and then your Cowboys got to win. They're all of a sudden
Yeah,
5-7 and
yeah. Who
kind of in
knows?
the yeah, exactly, kind of in the
Kind of
playoff.
in the mix.
Yeah.
Probably not based on the schedule, but
Hmm.
stranger things have happened.
Yeah,
But hey,
exactly.
two
Yeah.
wins in a row, first home win of the season.
Hmm.
I feel bad for those people because I know no matter what, Cowboy tickets are not cheap. Uh, and they go in every week. A lot of season ticket holders go every week, and for them to lose, it's funny. When my parents moved back to Texas for a while, when they first moved back, they got season tickets for a little bit, but it's so much money because you got to buy a bond and all type of extra stuff. And after like 4 years, they're like, "Man, this team is never gonna do anything. We can't be giving thousands of dollars for them just to never
Yeah.
really being." So yeah, but that's
Yeah.
but hey, Dallas won 2 wins in a row, a home first home win of the season, which is wild.
Hmm.
Considering before this year we were an excellent home team,
Yeah.
um, but and then the nightcap, Green Bay took it to the Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah. Dolphins scored a little late to make it look more respectable, and Tua didn't have a bad game at all. 37 to
Uh,
46 for 365, but yeah, that
Green Bay,
was. I think we all knew that was happening. Green Bay,
they're
good
good.
win for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
good win
they're
for
good one.
them. Um, Friday, just an ugly game. Chiefs, another escape over the Raiders. Raiders with a
Yeah,
botch snap late that maybe
very.
the refs missed a false start call
Yeah,
that would have saved the
just a
Raiders' ass. Yeah, yeah.
Very Raiders way of losing though. They're kind of like the
Hmm.
Bears. They're gonna have
Yeah.
a weird way to lose. They're one of those teams that'll find a way.
Hmm.
And the Chiefs continue to get by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
You'd have to think eventually that's going to catch them in the ass, but who knows?
Hmm. And then let's see some big games today. I think the highlight probably that Eagles Ravens matchup, which the Eagles took in Baltimore. I didn't actually get to watch any of it.
Man, what's going
Uh,
on with your guy Justin Tucker?
man, 10 missed kicks this year now. Two field goals and an extra point tonight that would have won the Ravens a game.
Yeah,
They've already, it looks like they've announced, statement that they are obviously sticking by
sticking with him.
him. And
I mean, he
I
is a
agree. I
legend.
think I posted that, look, there are some Raven fans out there saying you got to cut him, you got to drop him.
He's a Hall of Fame kicker. He's won
Yeah,
so much.
he's a Hall of Fame kicker. He's one of the most accurate of all time. It goes in and out every week between him and Eddie Pinheiro and Harrison
Yeah.
Butker now, but he's been doing it for a lot longer than those other two guys.
Oh,
He's
absolutely. Because he's the guy
this
who had to. I mean, to put in perspective, I mean, he was a dude who put beat A&M in
yeah
2011, and so that's how long he's been in the league.
yeah. Um, Yeah, he's been there forever. This is actually the first ever time in his career, though, he's missed both an extra point and a field goal in the same
Yeah,
game.
that's
And
wild.
it's also not like, he's not, I will say this, he's not missing chip shots.
No.
His misses are coming from 50 plus. And now, granted, that
Yep.
is worrisome because that's a guy that does hold the record for longest field goal,
Right.
a 66-yarder a couple years ago
Yeah.
over Detroit. And it is worrisome if you're a Ravens fan, obviously, because this is not the first. He's missed a lot of big kicks and losses that if he had made them,
Mhm.
the Ravens win those games.
Yeah.
Granted, he hasn't missed like a game-winning kick in that situation, so you
But
never
but
know
then
what change. Even if he makes those kicks
yeah.
tonight, maybe the Eagles still find a way to score at some point
Right.
because they're
But if
they're
you look
playing
at it from just
differently.
the point differential,
Yeah, just a point
from
differential.
the
That's 7 points
that
a night the
Steelers
Ravens
game,
could have had. Yeah,
yeah,
in the
that in the
Steelers
Steelers game. I
game.
mean,
Hmm.
yep. I mean, but yeah, like you said, I mean, it's all hypothetical at that point because obviously, if he makes those kicks,
Hmm.
maybe the Eagles do something different. We don't know how they if they score, what they do after those kicks, or
Yeah.
what happens. So it's all hypothetical. It just looks bad when you look at it from the point different perspective, and you're like,
Hmm.
dang, 7 points, you lose by what, five?
Yeah,
You know,
and well, and I think the biggest thing is for Ravens fans. Now that used to be he came on the field. You're like, okay, cool,
you
chalk
knew
up
it.
3 points.
Oh yeah,
When he missed, it
easy.
was like a shock. It was like the
Yeah,
biggest news in the world. You're like, what the hell
yeah,
happened? Uh,
right.
the only time that you would ever accept a miss is if they were trying some crazy field goal,
Minus
60 plus.
58. Yeah,
Yeah, and even then, you're like, man, it's Tucker. It might go in.
yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
yeah, so that's the worry right now is that it's no longer automatic. And
Automatic.
if it does come down to a game winning, game tying situation, late,
What
in the
we
fourth quarter,
How do you feel about it? Yeah,
yeah, where's his head at? He's
yeah,
come out multiple times this year, said it's a mechanics thing, but you got to figure at some point it's in his head too.
yeah. I mean,
Because all of these kicks are missed left, except he did miss one. I just watch the highlights now. He missed
but the
one to
extra
the right.
point is shocker to me. That's the
Oh, yeah,
biggest.
that's it. That's always because that's crazy when he misses
Yeah,
those. But good win for the Eagles as they try to keep
yeah.
pace with the Lions. That's 8 in a row for them now.
Finally, they're
Saquon,
having. I mean,
mhm,
not. I don't know how quiet it is, but I mean, I don't think anybody really still considers them as an elite team, just because I
mhm.
mean they had their struggles last year, but they're putting it together a hell of a season, and I don't think they're gonna have near that. They're not gonna have the fall off of last year at all. They weathered that storm and look to be in a good headspace, and it's gonna
No,
be
and it's
interesting.
yeah because of two things. They fixed their defense. The
Yeah,
defensive problems. That defense is
yeah,
what won them. Wasn't the Tucker misses obviously
absolutely.
are one thing, but that defense. And it's not like they shut down the Ravens offense. Ravens still put up numbers. It
Yeah,
looks like but they made big
key
stops
stops.
when
Yeah.
they needed it. If you look at that, I know I was looking. Like I said, we were in Mississippi with my wife's family, but I was looking at the drive charts, and at one point, I think the Ravens had three straight 3-and-outs
Mm.
in the first
Anytime you
half.
could do that,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
impressive against that Ravens offense.
And it's big because at that point when they did it, the Ravens were up 9-0. That missed
Yeah.
extra point, and then their offense wasn't doing anything either. Uh,
Right.
if you look at the Eagles' first few drives, 4 plays punt, 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 4 plays punt, and then that's where in between those they got uh, two of those 3-and-outs, and they finally scored a touchdown. They got another 3-and-out, and then they scored a touchdown to take the lead, and they never looked back.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just wild.
and
Um,
then second half, that's where the Ravens' first two drives, both
mhm.
end in missed field goals, but it's a good job by the defense to
Put them
hold
in
the
that
Ravens
situation.
once they got into field goal territory. They made some big third
I think
down
that's
plays.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the key to today's NFL. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
if you have
Bend but
that
don't
bid but
break.
don't bid,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, it doesn't seem like you really even the worst teams they put up a lot of them still put up numbers. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just a matter of hold them to field goals or
Hmm.
not Biggest thing, if you can keep a team out the end zone every
Hmm.
time they cross to 50, I mean, you've done a hell of a job. I mean, that's kind
Yeah,
of all you can really hope for in today's college and pro. If you're holding
yeah,
teams to three, you've done a hell of a job as a defense these days.
yeah, and they did that. And like I said, it's a huge win for
Yeah,
them because they now keep pace with Detroit for
yeah,
possibly getting that one seed.
absolutely.
And the Commanders broke their losing streak, so they keep distance from
Right.
the NFC East. It, in the grand scheme of things, not a huge loss for the Ravens, but it is
No.
significant that earlier in the day Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati. So now
Mhm.
Pittsburgh's still got that 2 game lead, game and a half, whatever it is.
Which
Uh,
ended up being a lot closer than if they were blowing out Cincinnati, and Cincinnati made that
mhm,
comeback. But
yeah, which pretty much you got to figure Cincinnati's done for. Uh,
oh yeah,
any
absolutely.
any hope they had of coming back for the playoff spots got to
No,
be
pretty much done.
just barring collapses by the teams in front of them. But you just don't have the faith that Cincinnati defense is going to be able to step up and
No,
win those games for them. Yeah,
their defense is atrocious.
yeah.
And
But
then I mean,
mhm,
I would think that's a team that's definitely gonna have quite a few changes in the offseason, maybe even a
mhm,
head coaching change because you have two elite players in Jamar Chase and Joe
mhm.
Burrow.
Yeah,
And
added
just
on
kind of,
the weapons you have in that offense, you are wasting. I know they made a Super Bowl, but
I mean, that was a miracle run. I mean, that came out of nowhere.
you
Outside of
cannot
that, outside
waste.
of that
Yeah,
miracle run, I mean,
mhm.
it's very average at best.
Yeah, you're
And they
wasting the
show up in big
primes.
games,
Yeah,
but they lose those games.
they do. Yeah, yeah, and it's also weirdly like like they put up all these huge numbers when they play the Ravens, but like you said, they lose those games, and they also don't carry that around to. No, granted,
No,
none of you cannot put this on anything on that offense.
no,
Their defense today gave up over 400 passing yards to Russell Wilson, and
yeah.
granted, Russ has been playing okay since
But
becoming the Steelers
that's
starter, but
still,
no, this
that's
is yeah,
ridiculous.
this ain't
This isn't,
2016 Russ.
no, no, absolutely
Yeah,
not. This is the
yeah,
other side of your career, Russ.
yeah.
So
So,
it'd be interesting to see what they do because I think there's a
mhm,
lot of changes coming there.
mhm.
I wouldn't be shocked if they have a whole new coaching staff next year. Um,
Yeah, that would not surprise me either. Elsewhere, Chargers went on the road, beat the Falcons. What's that?
what's going on in Atlanta?
Third
Jesus,
straight loss in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins 4 interceptions there. There's some quiet
yeah,
calls for the maybe it's Michael Penix time.
yeah,
We'll see, but yeah, that's in a division that was theirs for the taking.
yeah. They're
Uh,
doing everything they can not to,
yeah,
and that would be the most Atlanta thing ever.
yeah, it's a very Atlanta thing. Vikings big win today. 1 point win over the Cardinals, huge win again, keeping pace with Detroit. They're right there. Um, Getting back on track. Justin Jefferson, good rebound game after his,
Mhm.
I think, worst career game last week, but 7
Yeah,
catches, 99 yards. Still not getting in the end zone.
no,
But,
kind of turning to Julio Jones. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of yards, a lot of catches. Dependable. Obviously, one of the better receivers in the game, but
no touchdowns.
um, uh, good win for the Seahawks in New York. Man, it's done for Aaron Rodgers. You got to retire. Uh,
Yeah,
just looks
absolutely.
terrible. Yeah.
It-
Commanders, we mentioned them. Big win, got back on a winning track.
yeah.
Easy win over the Titans. Texans win in Jacksonville. Another fight there as Trevor Lawrence got late hit and little fight between those teams. Rams go into New Orleans and win. The Bucks beat the Panthers in overtime after Chuba Hubbard fumble. Another great game from
Mm,
Bryce. He is really starting to turn
yeah,
it around,
he's
man.
really turned it
Um,
around.
Good for him. And then you may have heard us talk about it some as we were watching the end of it live, but Buffalo just destroys San Francisco.
In this,
Um,
Christian McCaffrey got hurt again.
yeah, possibly it looks like just some news released in the last couple minutes. Possible PCL injury that might sideline him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the thing, his career might be close to being done, sadly, because those
Yeah,
injuries
yeah.
are just piling up. the
Yeah,
type of
those.
player that he is, I mean, it's rough on the body in itself, and
Hmm.
those type of injuries don't do anything to help
Yeah,
his
and they're
career.
all leg injuries.
Yeah,
It's one thing if you're getting like a broken arm or some pec injuries in there.
all the
You
same
can.
stuff.
It's that lower body, like you said. He's a shifty guy. He's a receiving back. It's all about his speed and lateral quickness. And
It doesn't help
man,
out at
yeah, those knees are getting shredded more and more, man. Josh Allen, maybe definitely. I think he's front runner for the MVP right now.
all. Yeah, I would say so.
Uh, Absolutely. And Saquon, good game, another 100-yard game and a big touchdown for him today. So I
Man,
think
that's
he's probably
just
right there. It's crazy. Um,
yeah. He's having just an epic season.
yeah, it's great. Hey, great year for running backs, right? To
for the
argue that there's still Saquon and Philly has really. Now, granted, as far as if you take it at the true meaning, most valuable player, I think it's probably more Josh Allen because you take him off the Bills and what do you got?
oh yeah, they're
The
not good.
Eagles, I'm not saying they can replicate what Saquon's doing, but I think they
They
could
can
still
still
be
win.
really good with a lower tier back,
I mean, we
or
saw them be good with lower tier
exactly,
backs.
yeah, with a committee of backs. But what he's doing there is great. Obviously, Derrick Henry in Baltimore has really opened up that offense this year.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
It's a lot of running backs that are putting up
yeah, Josh
numbers
Jacobson,
this year.
Green Bay, another guy that held out. Didn't want to get franchise tag or wanted
Yeah,
a bigger contract.
yeah,
Went somewhere else, and he's having a great year there, and he's really
uh,
a key part of that offense.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, looking, as the Bills, I believe today clinch the AFC East with that win. Um, looks like
They're so far ahead of everybody.
them and the
Yeah,
Chiefs are the only two teams actually to clinch playoff spots. Somehow the Lions at 11-1, best record in the NFC, have not clinched a playoff spot yet.
I just showed you how how good that North
The
is.
North is, yeah. But if you're looking right now, standings, KC would be your one seed and get that bye in the AFC. Then you have Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Houston. And then Los Angeles, Baltimore, and then Denver would be your
Mm,
three wild cards there. So hypothetically, today, your playoff matchups would be Buffalo, Denver, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston, and Chargers.
that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
In the NFC, you got Detroit in that one seed, Philly in the two seed, Seattle, the three seed, Atlanta still holding on somehow.
Oh,
And that four seed, I guess they got the two wins over the Bucks.
that's
Uh,
yeah.
uh, you
That's
got
gonna be their saving grace. It sounds like the way that they're
hmm
playing.
Yeah, but I mean, hell, man, if the
They
Bucks keep
still
winning,
might do it.
they do have even records. So the Bucks just need to pull ahead and stay ahead.
Oh,
But
that's
uh,
funny.
your wild cards would be Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington. Right there, the Bucks, the ones on the outside looking in there. Washington 8-5. You got Tampa Bay, Arizona, and the Rams all 6-6 behind them there.
Oh,
In the AFC, looking back, that's more. It's a little bit more space. Broncos 7-5, and then behind them
yeah.
6-7 Colts, 5-7 Dolphins, and then you get to the Bengals at 4-8. And so it's pretty
Mm,
much.
pretty much
And
locked up.
the Broncos,
That's the
it's
thing.
theirs. Yeah, it's theirs to take, and unless they collapse, and even then, the two teams behind them. As long as Miami doesn't have to play in cold weather, maybe they could
All right.
make a run. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. They get Jets at home next week.
It's so bad in cold weather. It doesn't even make sense.
It's weird. And luckily, well, let's see. They get Jets at home, at Texans, 49ers at home, and then their last two games. And so in late December, early January are at Cleveland and at the Jets. So
Oh,
it's gonna be two cold weather games in the season there.
boy, two terrible teams.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah,
they're in the
exactly.
contention,
So
you got to win those.
yeah,
If you're
so
so mix, you got to win those for sure.
oh, so who knows? Moving on from NFL real quick before we go. Good week for Bama hoops. Good
Wins
wins
overall,
over
good week.
Houston, yeah, overall. A good win for over Houston and Rutgers in midweek. Good two hard fought games, and then a tough loss Saturday night to Oregon.
Golly.
Just
Man, that's
terrible
terrible goal.
goaltending. Yeah,
Oh my
terrible
god.
goaltending call.
The
That's
fact that y'all
just
reviewed it and still kept it,
mm,
like what?
it was clear as day. It was not a
Frustrating.
Pull
Uh,
the 10.
we
And then
needed a
just that
quarter of a second more at
yeah.
the end. Yeah.
And then the great steal, great defensive play, and they even the game up. And then Grant Nelson doesn't box out. They get the
Big dog.
put back dunk to win, and then that last play just Mark
Quarter of a
just
second more.
just maybe didn't too much. I'm surprised we didn't have a play to get a shooter,
Yeah.
uh, a
But
shot to win
yeah,
it there. But
much different last shot than I would have anticipated.
yeah, if he had like you said, if he had another half second, maybe that dish was a good look to Nelson, but it was just a
Yeah,
touch too
not
late.
enough time.
But
Mark Sears did struggle. I mean, he
mhm.
had a great game against Houston
Houston and
Rockets. He
Rux, yeah,
struggled,
24 both of
struggled
those nights,
mightily,
yeah.
struggled mightily last night. But I will say in that Rutgers game, my goodness, that freshman duo is spectacular.
Oh, Ron Harper's son. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the big
What's
guy,
his first name? Yeah.
but yeah, Harper, he is ridiculous.
That man was, yeah, and he fearless. Uh,
Absolutely.
had no, yeah, just did not care. He was putting that team on his back. Reminded me a lot of Colin
Obviously,
Sexton, the way he plays.
oh yeah,
Hmm.
obviously he's the kind of probably one and done type of guy.
Hmm.
But still, watching that game and just you wonder how did Rutgers get those two top five
Mm.
NBA picks on the team? I mean, that's just
Mm.
amazing that they're able to throw on the NIL money like
Hmm.
that. Not a place you would have thought that would happen, but good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, good for them. But like I said, good wins for Alabama. Tough loss to
Yeah,
Oregon, but that's not a bad loss by any stretch.
not a
Just a
terrible loss. I mean, Oregon's
yeah.
undefeated on the season. I mean,
Hmm.
Oregon's always a tough out. They're
Yeah.
always have big athletic guys, so always a tough out. But once again, I mean, compared to where we were in these type of games this year and last year, we're far ahead this year than
Hmm.
what we were. I mean, not a game that we're out of. I mean, we could have easily won that game yesterday. I mean, and the other loss, of course, at Purdue. I mean, Purdue at home was ridiculous. I think they won
Yeah,
23 straight or something. So, I mean, no shame in losing there. I guess right now the team of the week is Auburn. I mean, they're just
hmm got to give it
crushing
to them.
fools.
Yeah.
They're absolutely
Uh,
crushing people.
yeah.
I mean, they
Maui
house
Invitational
Memphis,
champs. Yeah.
house Memphis in the championship game. And the other crazy thing this week was um, UConn losing all those
Yeah.
games.
0-3 in Maui, and
Yeah,
Dan Hurley getting mad at the refs, and then getting teed up, which good because Dan Hurley he gives it to the
Dan
refs,
is
and
a baby.
yeah,
Dan
it's
is a
good.
baby.
Yeah, good time. Finally, a ref, to be like, hey man, shut the fuck up. Here's a
Yeah,
tech.
because he was getting
Uh,
into it.
yeah. But looking ahead this week for the Tide SEC ACC Challenge, we got
Carolina.
North Carolina in the Dean Dome.
Yeah,
So it's a good few games. Auburn
yeah.
plays Duke.
That'll be
Trying to,
interesting.
yeah, is that one's in? Is that in Auburn or is it in Cameron?
I thought it was in Carolina.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up here. Yeah, it's in Cameron. But let's see. Some
Now that
interesting
game a bit.
games.
That game
Hmm.
at Auburn, because I will give it to them when they have a big basketball game. They show up. That's a hard place to win when
Oh
they
yeah.
show up there. But if that game had been at Auburn, man, that would have been tough for Duke. But that'd be interesting. To see Cooper see Flag go up against that Auburn team. That's a big Auburn team. They got
Yeah.
like they're a long body team. Like they're crazy. Um, but,
Yeah. No, that's gonna be a fun one to
yeah,
watch. We're getting to that part in the
non-conference
college
play.
basketball. Yeah, it's a great non-conference for we've lost a lot of these early season tournaments
Hmm.
over the years now, but they're kind of making up for with things like these.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a
Yeah,
great.
just some other highlights in that challenge. Arkansas will visit Miami.
Hmm.
Let's see, Tennessee will host Syracuse. A&M will host Wake Forest. Ole Miss goes to Louisville. Kentucky goes to Clemson. Uh,
I will
some
say I was
mhm,
talking about Arkansas. That made I think that made our Illinois game look better because Illinois blasted Arkansas.
mhm, yeah, yeah. Coach Cal's got some work there, but
Yep.
he has
I
it.
think
And then
he'll be all right.
those are Tuesday games. Wednesday, of course, that's when Alabama, Carolina is. Auburn, Duke. Virginia visits Florida. Pitt visits Mississippi State as well. Some
It's kind of funny though that
yeah,
the state of Alabama right now kind of the epicenter for
yeah,
basketball. I mean, we're,
hotbed, man.
yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait till that game. That game will be
Mhm,
insane. I think we're gonna play them once this year with the expansion of the schedule, but that'll be
mhm.
an insane game.
Auburn.
I swear.
I think no, we got to check
It
that
was.
here. That would
I
be.
could be wrong,
Let's see.
but
That would be
it was a
absolutely.
couple of times because I know it changed with like Tennessee. Usually we play them twice. I know that they were
Mhm.
down to one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I thought maybe Auburn was. I don't know how many, or even if they do protected rivalries in that, but let me look that up real quick because I would think that ours would be definitely Auburn. Um,
because
I would
I
think
don't think we played
State
Tennessee
because
twice.
let's see, we
So,
play Auburn on the 15th of February in Tuscaloosa, and then yeah, we end the season at Auburn.
okay.
Last conference game. Oh man,
Ooh,
uh,
wow.
March
That could
8th in
be.
Auburn. Yeah,
Watch out. That could be crazy.
actually that's actually right now that is a really rough ending stretch for Alabama. Their last 5 games, as it is, are
Mhm.
all against ranked teams. Yet Kentucky, State, at Tennessee, Florida, at Auburn to end the season.
Yikes.
Whew,
Big,
yeah, no breaks in
big.
the SEC schedule this
No.
year.
Yeah, there's a lot of right now anyway ranked teams in the SEC. I see Ole Miss is ranked
Hmm.
right now. I think State is ranked right now.
Yeah,
The SEC is definitely been a hell of started off hot. As much slander as the SEC gets in basketball.
hmm.
I would say
No,
the
yeah, you got
SEC.
Florida, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ole Miss, State, us, A&M, and Arkansas all ranked.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma's 7-0, Georgia's 7-1, Vandy 7-1, LSU 6-1, Missouri 6-1, Texas is 6-1. So
Mm,
there's actually not a losing record in the SEC right now.
yeah.
South Carolina's the worst at 4-3.
Mm.
So
So that's something to be very interesting.
yeah, um, yeah. Let's see. Just looking on any other sports news you want to talk about this week? Anything
Uh, you
NBA
know,
interesting? Yeah.
well, nothing too interesting in the NBA. I honestly didn't watch too much. I guess the only two things I guess I was kind of shocked that North Carolina fired Mac Brown. I was kind of
Mm,
shocked by that.
mhm,
I mean, I get it, but man, you would thought he could at least gone on his own terms because he thought he was coming back. He'd even say, "Hey, I'm coming back. I'm not done." And they said, "Nope, you're done, Mac." So that'd be interesting who goes there. Um, I heard that Dan Mullen's interested in that job, which would be interesting for him to go
That's
there.
that's the kind of place that he could probably thrive at.
Yeah,
They have expectations, but
but
not
not the
insane.
utmost. Yeah,
Um,
if he did what he did at Florida every
mhm.
year at Carolina, he's a lifelong guy.
Yeah, well,
No,
yeah,
if he goes, 9-3, um, maybe pulls a playoff berth every now and again, or
mhm.
ACC championship, wins their bowl game. I think they'll be great in Carolina.
I mean, yeah, hell, if he does what he did at State, yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
I mean he won
uh,
at state. He won at yeah. I think that'd be a great hire and they said he was interested. So I mean, if I'm North Carolina, I'm definitely looking at that and say, hey, at least kicking the tires with that. And then looks like Neil Brown got fired today from West Virginia after escaping the hot seat last year. Um, tough end of the regular season for the Mountaineers, but so they'll have that opening, so that'll be interesting to see who goes there.
yeah. Um, Anything else?
No, I think that was it for me.
All right, then let's see. Any specific done up real good you want to shout out, or are we just going to say five in a row is done up?
Hey, that's it. Five,
There we
five
go.
in a
All right.
row. Great food. That's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Good rivalry weekend.
Yeah.
I would like to say, man, some of these rivalries that have been played early, we need to get back to where everything's this last weekend, man. Like the
Oh,
backyard brawl. Come on, let's get that back on this last
yeah,
weekend.
absolutely.
Can we talk to Missouri and Kansas about renewing the border war?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Holy
Man.
War. BYU and Utah are both in the same conference now. Come on, let's
Yeah,
make
move
that a
that to the
last
end of
weekend.
this. Move that to the end. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get back to some of these. Let's get rivalry week truly everybody back.
Yeah, if you have the
Uh,
opportunity to play your, yeah,
mhm.
absolutely.
But yeah. So like we said, hey, five in a row is done up real good. Roll Tide,
Yes,
baby.
sir. Both
Look, what
sides.
happens. If we're in the playoff, great. If not, let's beat whoever the hell in the bowl game and set our sights on next week. And all
Yeah,
of y'all calm down. We were
yeah,
saying before the season we'd lose 3 games. So
yeah. It'd be
um,
interesting though. I mean, the
yeah.
transfer portal is about to open up. That early
Hmm.
signing day, which basically turned into the signing day, is happening soon. So I mean, December is a busy month in
Yeah.
the
It's
college
gonna
football world.
Yeah, there is
We'll have
no
the
more. Yeah,
playoff and the
there is
transfer
no more dead period
downtime.
in turn. Yeah.
No,
There's no more
absolutely
downtime
not. It's
with the playoff now. Yeah.
yeah. So between recruiting and playoff,
Hmm.
the transfer portal, and the early signing day, man, December has turned into a hotbed for college football.
Absolutely, man. It's gonna be fun. So thank y'all for listening. As always, check out all the podcasts on the Alabama Take family of podcasts. Check out the
Hmm.
alabamatake.com for all the good posts you could want for all of that's where you can find all of these podcasts as well, all easily right there. If you need some last minute gift ideas, you can check out the store there. Go get yourself some Alabama Take swag, some taking on
Absolutely.
sports. Congrats to our winners in the pick'em pools this year. Dr. Ari winning the Alabama Take pool, and man, his name was King Ra. Won the taking on sports the spread pool. He actually we actually know who it is. He actually did message me this morning, and he'll get a T-shirt sent his way. So
Yeah.
congratulations
I
for winning. Unlike our
I
bracket
sadly
challenge,
missed
or
I sadly missed a week. I
I
was
saw
in
that.
third. I
Yeah,
was in
and it
third. I
cost you.
missed a week. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm not sure the tiebreaker that they used because he actually finished level on points with my mom of all people. So I'm going to have to hear about
really,
that all off season about how she knows what I'm
no
talking.
sport.
Yeah, knows better. But yeah. So
That's
that'll
funny.
be fun.
That's like what
Um,
I had to happen. My wife beating me in the.
mhm,
Uh, my wife
mhm.
finally beat me in the bracket challenge, and then went into
Uh,
our family bracket challenge last year. And my daughter won.
no,
So,
no.
yeah, she said, "Yeah, I watch all types of sports. I listen to all this stuff." And I'm like, "Come on, let's be realistic." But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Rough,
funny when it's
rough
funny when that
finish.
happens.
And then we got, I believe, we'll have one more week in our
Oof.
taking bets column. I don't. Last couple years, I think I've convinced that we're doing all the conference title games. I think we should do it again this year because it's the only shot I have to
Absolutely.
be above 500.
Yeah, I don't think I have a
Uh,
chance. I
man,
would, end up. Well, I think I went 2-2 this week. I got
yeah,
the
me
plus
too.
19 from Georgia and the Cowboys spread,
Mhm.
but A&M didn't do it for me, and I forget.
Oh man, that it was funny. I was watching that with my father-in-law when they got stoned on that fourth and goal. I was like,
Yeah,
damn it, and he was like, oh, do we want A&M to win? I'm like, no, actually, Texas is probably better for Alabama, but
we went to
I
five
just
and
yeah, I just wanted
want
that
the
5.5.
spread.
Yeah, I just wanted
Yeah,
that spread.
yeah,
Yeah, looks like
absolutely.
I went 2-2 this week as well. Let's see, Blaine, he nailed that Memphis pick, man. He even
Did
called it
he?
the yeah
He
he
said they
called
were gonna win. I was like, my goodness,
mhm, just
you
nailed it.
dominate all season, and then you
Yeah.
not only say that they're gonna cover, they said they're gonna win by 10. And lo and
Hmm.
behold, what did they do? They won by 10.
Yeah, crazy.
It's
He
like,
went 2-2 over the week. He had Georgia laying the points, so he did not get that. And then he thought the Iron Bowl would be a lot closer, but he got the Packers. So he finished 2-2. I did 2-2. You went 2-2, right?
yeah,
So yeah, you got Georgia Tech Cowboys. Yeah, didn't hit that A&M and didn't hit that under in Tennessee and Vandy. Yeah,
yeah. They went a
they
little
did.
higher.
Let's see. Mallory had Army -7. I believe they only won by like 5 or so. Missouri -3, that hit. Kansas, not surprisingly, did not. Baylor kind of took it to them.
Housed them.
And then she had the
And
Seahawks. So she also finished 2-2. So
oh,
2-2s across the board this week.
yeah,
Uh,
interesting.
which
Yeah,
means
that was a shocker
uh,
though in that Kansas game because as hot as Kansas had been, and then to get housed by the team they got. I mean, Baylor had quietly had a decent season.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they did. So Dave Aranda saved his job there, I believe.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, so that means that Blaine's still leading. Everyone else still under 500. Yeah, no, there are not enough games next week, even if you went
No,
perfect. To
no,
I do need. I'm 8 below 5, so I need a perfect week
good to read.
to nail that. Mal is 1 under 500, so she just
Show
needs
offs. And
Blaine.
Blaine just has
Crazy,
to have an
yeah,
okay week, and then he'll
yeah,
be fine.
yeah. Nine games above 500
Yeah,
for
he
him.
kept he kept telling me, "Oh, towards the end, I usually fall off." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Where's that fall off, Blaine?"
yeah. Hustler.
Yeah, how's
Uh,
it is.
But yeah, so that does it for us, folks. Thanks for listening. As always, tell your friends about us. Tell your rich friends about us. Sponsor us if you want. Throw some Skrilla our way.
Absolutely.
And keep it done up real good yourselves out there. Greg, buddy, I'll see you next week.
Have a lot to talk about.
Yes,
Big
we
week.
will.